Sweet life, sweet life, sweet life. Hi guys, and welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how I made these adorable minion inspired Rice Krispie treats. And you guys know we've made these a few times before. You guys like when I make these. So in honor of the new movie that's coming out, I thought it'd be cute to make some of these for my son and give you guys another tutorial, since you're always asking me for different ways to decorate these. So I just started off with a Rice Krispie treat, a pre-packaged one. You absolutely can use ones that are homemade, but I'm using some from the store. I just got that long one from Dollar Tree because I didn't have any on hand. And so as you can see, we cut it down to size, and then we're just going to fit it into those molds. We have our popsicle sticks where we're going to get that hole in there, so it's easier for us to stick it in there later once we do have the chocolate in there. And we're going to be using just some leftover white almond bark that I have and some yellow candy melts, and I just mixed the two. They melt perfectly together. I didn't have to add any oil or anything. This actually looks like mayo and mustard mixed together. I was thinking that when I was making it, but almond bark just melts so smoothly. You guys know I love almond bark. It just melts so smoothly, and it melts perfectly when you mix it with candy melts actually. So I'm just gonna get maybe about 2 teaspoons into each one of those cavities for our first layer of chocolate, and then I'm just gonna work that chocolate up the sides with the side of my spatula. And after we get this first coat on, we're gonna get it into the fridge for about 15 minutes for it to set up. As you can see, I just used my spatula to work it up the sides. You want to make sure you get those sides nice and coated because the chocolate is naturally going to fall down to the bottom. I didn't worry about putting any chocolate. It's out of the refrigerator now, by the way. I didn't worry about putting any chocolate in the part where the stick goes, just because we're going to fill that area in later. And if you did put chocolate in there, it'll crack when you enter the stick into the Rice Krispies. So that's why I kind of leave that area open for now. So now I'm just getting another coat, and this coat of chocolate is only going to go around the edges. We're going to make sure we get like a very good coat of chocolate both at the bottom and the edges. You don't have to put any more at the bottom, like I said, because the excess chocolate will fall down to the bottom. So naturally the bottom of it is the bottom is thicker than the sides. So that's why I'm just adding another layer around the sides, and I'm just using my spatula kind of like a paintbrush to get a nice even coat around it, because if you don't put those two coats or you don't get enough chocolate, when it is time for you to put your Rice Krispies in there or take them out, the edges will be too thin and they will crack. So after we get this nice coat, the second coat around the sides, we're gonna put it back into the fridge for about another 10 or 15 minutes. Now it is out, and we're gonna get our Rice Krispies that we already pre-shaped into there. You see they fit perfectly because we had already shaped them, and you see I left that little area open so our stick will be able to go smoothly into there. So you see I left space at the bottom. We're gonna fill in that space with chocolate, and so that's why I was saying it wasn't necessary for you to put chocolate there before. So we're gonna fill it in just to make sure it's nice and filled, so you don't have any gaps where your stick is actually gonna go. And then once we get that area filled, then we will stick our stick through, and this is so that the chocolate can get all the way down to the bottom. If you put the stick in first, the chocolate does have a problem getting all the way to the bottom of the mold, and then you end up with gaps of chocolate around your stick. So now we're just going to get more chocolate on the top. We're going to get a thin layer to cover up our Rice Krispie treat, and then these will go back into the refrigerator. Okay, so now that they are in the refrigerator setting up, we're gonna get started on the details to go on top of our Rice Krispie treats. So I have white fondant, I have some royal blue fondant, I have some gray and some black fondant. So I'm using these piping tips to make the eyeballs for the minions. And I have a bunch of different size piping tips, and I always use those if I need to make any circles, because chances are I have a piping tip for the size circles. So one of the minions is going to have one big eye, and then one is going to have two small eyes. So this gray is going to be used as the frame of their glasses to go around their eye. So I'm using those same tips that I use to make the eye, and I'm just going to flatten them out just a little bit, and then I'm going to use that same tip to create like a border or like a frame around each eyeball. So now I'm going to use the black fondant. I'm just going to create some little circles, and those will be both like the little black parts for the eyes, and then also I'm going to create the straps for the glasses. I'm using a bubble straw, and those will be the little eyeballs, and then they'll also be like the little buttons on the jumpsuit of one of the minions, and these little black strips are going to be the straps for their glasses. So now I'm using some royal blue fondant, and this is going to be the little jean overall that one of the minions is going to wear. So I'm just flattening it out and getting it ready. And so now they are out of the refrigerator. They were in there for about 20 minutes. So what you want to do is just pull those all the way back, and then you want to use your thumb to push the stick out, and they pop out perfectly. You see how those came out nice and smooth. And so same thing, pull the mold all the way back as far as you can, and then push the stick up with your thumb to get it out. You don't want to try to just force it out, because you may crack it and you may damage it where the stick actually is. So that's the best way to get them out. So I'm just going to use some kitchen scissors to cut off that excess chocolate around the edge. A lot of my subscribers told me they use all different methods to get their excess chocolate, but this always works, easy for me. If you have another method, please share it below. I would like to know what method you use to get your excess chocolate around, because I just use some really sharp kitchen scissors. So now that we have them all cleaned up, they are ready for us to start decorating them. Now we're gonna start assembling the details for the minions, and I'm just in that cup. It's just some simple syrup. It's just some water and some sugar, and I'm using simple syrup because it's sticky enough for the details to stick, but then it also makes it easy for them to peel them off later if they just want to, if your guests just want to eat the chocolate part and not want to eat the fondant, because I know everybody's not too fond of eating fondant. And so we're just going to use that simple syrup to stick these details on to the minions. And the reason why I'm using fondant instead of like chocolate or royal icing, if you have a really steady hand and you're good at piping, you absolutely could have piped these details in royal icing or in chocolate. But honestly, I do not have a very steady hand, and I find that fondant details are a lot cleaner looking to me rather than trying to get that perfect circle if you're piping. Some people are really good at piping. I am not, and I'm not afraid to admit it. So this is why I prefer fondant details, because I can use my cutting tools to get my lines perfectly straight. I can use molds to get the different shapes that I need, and it just comes out very clean looking to me. And so now I got that blue onto half of the bottom of the Rice Krispie treat, and I'm just shaving off that extra blue fondant. And this part is kind of like covering like a cake because you're just trying to make sure you get that fondant nice and smooth and get coverage at the bottom of that. And then I'm just going to use my X-Acto knife to shave off that excess fondant. One thing, you guys know I love using this mat because it actually has the measurements, the 1 inch measurements you'll see along the side and along the top. That's just a little square that I made. And so I pre-measured these to kind of know what size I was going to need all of my items to be. And this is why I like I said, working on this mat, because as I'm cutting, I can see how long my strips or how big my squares are gonna be. One thing about getting your work nice and clean when you're making treats or crafts or whatever is getting the sizing correctly. A lot of times the difference between it looking very neat and clean or realistic is you just getting your sizing correct, your ratio of how big a circle is or how skinny a line is a lot of times. So measuring is very important. So that's why this mat is like, I like working on top of it when I'm doing things like this kind of freehanding, because I already knew how big the Rice Krispie was going to be. So it allowed me to kind of use my mat to kind of judge how wide or how thick or how large I needed certain shapes to be. This is just a little pre-made packet of black royal icing. I tell you guys all the time, I get these from the little cookie kits from like Walmart and like Target and stuff. During the holidays like Valentine's Day, Christmas, Halloween, they have these little cookie kits in the stores that come with these little royal icing packets. And so what I do is wait till after the holiday, because you guys know I make my own cookies from scratch. So I buy the kits for my son to like play with, him and his friends or whatever. They can decorate cookies, but I keep those little pre-made royal icing packets and I buy them after the holiday, so they're like 75% off. So I get the whole little kit for like $2-3. But I keep these little packets because for things like this, sometimes you just need just a little bit of black royal icing or a little bit of red royal icing. So I keep them for instances like this where I can do little skinny details really quick and I don't have to make any black royal icing. You could have did this with chocolate as well, but I don't have to melt anything or color anything, and I'm able to make my little details. This is how they turned out. Super adorable. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.
Sweet life, sweet life.